My favorite memory with Mr. Krause is during pep band games when he'd always ask us questions about our favorite restaurants or ice cream flavors or colors, and it just made all the pep band games really fun to go to.
My favorite memory of Mr. Krause is last year when we went to one of our jazz festivals. Basically halfway through the drive, he realized that he forgot his entire suit at the school.
My favorite memory with Mr. K has to be from Allstate this year. It was the morning of auditions and he took me out to breakfast and he was hyping me up. He was like, yeah, you could do this, you got this. And then results came out and we got a celebratory sushi dinner. He was just so supportive of me the entire week and it was really fun hanging out.
My favorite Mr. Krause moment has to be just as the band was getting set and we were getting ready to go for the nightly practice. Mr. Krause calls over the operations managers and he says, okay, I have like a super important job for you and I need you to like do this well. So we're listening and then he says, I need you to go to McDonald's and get me chicken nuggets because I haven't eaten yet. And that was just like a super funny moment for me.
My favorite memory of you in 8th grade Step Up. I was playing timpani and you called me out in front of the whole band and I was so mortified. You made me feel so loved and appreciated and that really struck me that day.
Before we played Ghost Train, I got to have this little master class with Will Richards where he taught me a bunch of different percussion skills, and I think it highlights an atmosphere that you've created at North Bend where a lot of the older kids like to reach out to the younger ones and help them out and teach them things.
When we went on the trip to New Orleans for jazz, I was a freshman and I didn't really know anyone, and I remember I was pretty nervous the whole trip, and Mr. K just came up to me and was holding an alligator, and I think he definitely knew that I was like nervous and wasn't really talking to anyone. He was just holding a baby alligator and he was like, come take a picture of me with this alligator.
My favorite memory of Mr. Krause, when we got locked in the courtyard during marching band and Mr. Krause kept us at attention and we marched back and forth between the doors.
One of my favorite memories with Mr. Krause was there was one moment on the football field when I was crying and he just let me cry and he just hugged me and it was just such a beautiful moment.
Favorite memory of Krause would have to be band camp this year, because one of the theme days that we did for that week, one of my favorite theme days we've ever done, dress up as a staff member day. The moment we were done with whatever meeting, I went straight into his office as covertly as possible. I'm just like, so you know that outfit you wear for the homecoming assemblies? Can I borrow that on Wednesday?
My favorite memory with Mr. Krause was 2018 Falcon Fest and how we ended up getting locked in the courtyard. And most of us were feeling very nervous at that point, and that was just a little bit of joy and laugh that we kind of needed to just kind of get us through the rest of that day.
My favorite memory with Mr. Krause is definitely last year. I didn't have a class at the end of the year during 7th period, so we just I would go down to the band room and we would just like walk around, and one day we just like walked around the track and all the kids at gym were like looking at us like, what are they doing? But it was so much fun, and he helped guide me a lot in my future and decision making moving forward, and that's just so much fun and so helpful for me.
My favorite memory of Mr. K would probably have to be during the winter concert. I've never really experienced being able to be conducted by Mr. K in like an actual professional like band setting. Seeing him conduct and being in his like best element of like being lost in the music but also just being such a strong part of it was truly amazing.
Favorite memory of Mr. Krause's on the Florida trip. Mr. K played spoons with us in the lobby, even though our spoons games get pretty violent sometimes, and I think he saw some of our true colors, but it was a lot of fun for him to play with us.
My favorite band memory was going to a few faraway marching band competitions in the fall of 2017. I also enjoyed watching some of the other bands after we performed at those same competitions.
There are very few experiences that I can say changed my life, but one of the experiences that definitely did is meeting Mr. Krause. Mr. K has been my biggest supporter and #1 fan since day one. He's never told me that I couldn't do anything, and he was always there for me if I needed him. I would not be going to the college that I'm going to if it wasn't for Mr. K. Mr. K was the person who pushed me as hard as I could be pushed, and it's because of him that I'm pursuing a career in performance, and I can't say that about anybody else.
The impact that he's had on my life is that in a lot of ways he's inspired me to continue with music education as a career path. I totally want to be a band director someday, in no small part because of him. He's been so helpful in guiding me through that whole process and sort of working me through the best options for me moving forward. It's been so helpful, and I really appreciate him and all that he does for us.
Mr. K has impacted me in the sense of that now whenever I try something or put my effort to it, I will always put my heart and soul into it. It has really made me realize that now I always want to put my heart and soul into everything that I do, because who knows what your passions will be later on in life, and maybe it'll help you.
Mr. Krause's most impacted me because no matter what I needed help with, he'd always be there to help me, and he was always just so caring.
Honestly, I'm just really looking forward to pursuing music in the future and just keeping it a part of my life. And I definitely wouldn't be where I am now without Krause.
Mr. Krause has impacted me just by making me a way better musician. So, yeah, thank you, Mr. Krause.
He has taught me to appreciate the little things. Musically, he's taught me immense skill and knowledge and confidence, and taught me that, it's okay that you're a girl in the low brass section and you can really manage just as good as the guys in there, and that I can do this thing.
The things that Mr. Krause taught me is if you're truly happy with what you're doing, you're gonna be great at it, because he was always so happy to be doing what he was doing, and that just made him so much better at it.
He made special connections with all of us, and the way that he taught us and the way that he led our marching band and our curricular bands is something that I will remember forever.
A way that Mr. Krause has impacted me, the way he's taught me to lead. He has showed me how I can lead a huge group of people just using the pure motivation of wanting to do your best no matter what, and wanting to do best for the good of the entire group and the entire band.
Mr. Krause has done a lot to me. It was great doing band all of my high school years, which made it fun. And it was one of my favorite school subjects. Every year I took it.
Mr. K definitely made my high school experience a lot better. I definitely always had a place to go, and even though I was one of the senior girls that didn't cry on his couch, I still felt like no matter what, I could always kind of, talk to him, and I would come to the band room after school, and he would always be like, "Hey Sydney, how are you doing?"
You have impacted me in so many different ways, especially with your kindness. I'm so grateful for how you make everyone feel so like they belong.
Mr. Krause has impacted my whole life. My music playing, my love for music. He's impacted the way that I act, the way that I handle hard situations. He's taught me so much more than just leading. He's taught me just so much. Oh my gosh, I can't even put it into words. I just love him so much.
You made my Wheaton North experience a whole lot better. Coming into Wheaton North as a sophomore, not really knowing anybody, the band was a very good place for me to meet a lot of people. That goes, again, back to you. You helped create a positive environment where everybody feels welcome, and I really appreciate that. It helped me out a lot in that stressful time transferring in.
Crying in Krause's office. He has the best couch to cry on.
Oh yeah, I cried in Mr. K's office multiple times.
Yes, I've cried in Mr. Krause's office.
I cried in Mr. Krause's office.
I have cried in Mr. K's office before.
I have cried in Mr. Krause's office.